Looking for a new pharmacy? Dillon's Pharmacy makes it easy to transfer prescriptions. Just request a prescription transfer in person or online. We also accept most insurance plans and prescription discount cards, helping you find lower prices on prescriptions because care is helping you save. To learn more, visit dillons.com/transfers. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See site for details.
Every new stage of life comes with surprises. With Walmart Express Delivery, you can handle more of them than you think. Like when it's almost dinner time, you look in your fridge and you don't have any ingredients that are, well, inspiring. With Walmart Express Delivery, you can get groceries delivered fast so you can achieve culinary excellence without leaving the house. Get it in 1 hour with Walmart Express Delivery. Who knew? Walmart. Delivery time may vary by order size, traffic, weather, and demand. Subject to availability. Fees and restrictions apply.
call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Parsons,
Here.
Vice Mayor Vasquez,
Here.
Commissioner Laura,
Present.
Commissioner McCaffrey,
Present.
Commissioner Warren.
Here.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. You'd all stand and join the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation.
Good evenings, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and staff. God bless you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. My name is Pastor Sylvia Cardosa. I'm representing Liberal Minister Alliance, pastor of Centro Familiar here in Liberal, Kansas. Let us go before the Lord in prayer. Father God, we thank you today. We thank you for your goodness, your mercy, and your grace. We thank you for this opportunity to be able to come together, Lord, and just ask for your blessing and for your direction in all the business that takes place in our city, Father, in this government. We thank you, Lord, because you have watched over us, you have kept us safe, and we declare, God, that your wisdom, Lord, will come upon your staff, Father, and we ask that you would just be with each and every one of them and everything that has to do, Lord, with the planning and the organizing. We just put it in your hands, Father, and we know that you will direct them, Lord, accordingly. Thank you for your goodness, and we worship and praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Okay, item number 1, awards, proclamations, and presentations. None of those, okay. Item number 2, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, motion passes 5-0. Item number 3 are the minutes. We have 2 sets, one for the June 23rd regular meeting and the June 29th special meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the June 23rd, 2026 regular meeting minutes and the June 29th, 2026 special meeting minutes.
Second.
On both? Yes. Okay. Okay, we have motions and seconds. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item number 4, items from citizens. Are there any citizens here that would like to address the commission? Rex?
Well, good evening. My name's Rex Petty, and I'm the pastor, I guess I should say retired pastor now of Faith Tabernacle, but it's great to be here. I just wanted to come and thank all of you commissioners and for Mrs. Disker, and also want to just be thankful for all of you for working together to get the park signs up, and they look terrific, and I just wanted to come and say thank you for all the hard work I know that it is to work together to put something like that in, figuring out what you're going to use, what you're not going to use, and how to do it. So I just, first of all, I wanted to thank you for that. Also, as I retired here a couple of months ago, something really quite surprising to me is that my son, Reed, lives in Hayes, and he works for Senator Jerry Moran. And Senator Moran, he didn't find out from Reed, but somehow he found out that I was retiring, and he mentioned from the Senate floor here about a month ago what our new slogan is from the United States Senate floor in the United States in the Capitol building. And I was just amazed that our slogan made it that far to Washington, D.C., and he commended the people of Liberal. He spoke very highly. And you can watch it if you go to YouTube, put in Jerry Moran, put Rex Petty, put Liberal Kansas, and it'll come up. You can read the text. It's only about 5 minutes. But I say that because of what he said about Liberal. He quoted a lot of things about what a great place Liberal is, and from generosity to prosperity being our new slogan. And also, I think the logo is wonderful too. Keely Young, I know you were a big part of that, and I know I think you were too, Mrs. Disker. And it goes together so well because the railroad is what brought it all together. And the aspect of, there were 4 towns, Fargo Springs, Arcalin, and Springfield, and Liberal, Kansas. There were 4 towns that were vying to stay alive back in the late 1800s. And there's an article here that I want to give to you from a young man who was a college student at K-State, and he wrote a paper on Liberal, Kansas. And so I want to give this to you tonight because it really tells about the aspect of the town being established from Seymour Rogers, being liberal with his water. He went to, people came to his homestead where he drilled a well 88 feet deep and struck water. And when people came, of course, to get a drink of water, he would give it to them and they'd say, how much do we owe you? And he'd say, water is always free here. And then they would say, that's mighty liberal of you. So it's a great story. And the story behind it all is what you have come up with here is that it was the railroad that helped Liberal become the winner of the 4 towns of Fargo Springs, Springfield, and Arcalin. Liberal won out because of the story of Seymour Rogers, he says in this paper, and the railroad. And as I say, Keeley and Mrs. Disker, you came out with the railroad part of it for our logo, which you are to be commended. It's a great story, and that's how this young man presents that was the reason that Liberal won out, those 2 main things. And so I just wanted to share that with you. And of course, you adopted from generosity to prosperity. You can see how much we improved on you did on the logo from the one at the bottom. And then the night that it passed 2 years ago for the new slogan, from generosity to prosperity, based on the Bible verse that I had found about 20 years ago in Proverbs 11:25. It says, a liberal man will be enriched, and one who waters will himself be watered. And of course, I read that. I thought, that's Seymour Rogers in the Bible. He carried it out, a generous man. And most towns and cities, if you look at the Rand McNally, they're named after people, a lot of them. But our town was named not after Seymour Rogers, but after his character, his integrity, his generosity. And that's what we still have today. So I wanted to bring that out. I also want to thank Mr. Lara. He was the mayor at the time, and he made a city proclamation reflecting on Proverbs 11:25. When you look at the bottom of the right-hand screen, about a liberal man will be enriched, and one who waters will himself be watered. And he made a mayor's proclamation that night to let it be known. The slogan for the city of Liberal will be from generosity to prosperity. And we're seeing it in the parks, Washington, D.C., in the Capitol. I'm still amazed that Jerry Moran did that. And he also just got a $2 million generous grant money to put in for the Masoni Bridge here in the county. So he's been very generous to Liberal, Kansas, and Seward County. So the last thing I just want to say is I've been thinking about this for a long time, but so we got a new slogan, got a new logo. They go together perfect as to how Liberal came into being with the generosity of Seymour Rogers from the Bible verse, Proverbs 11:25, and then the great work of the city on not only the slogan, but we have that with the railroad as the picture there, because years ago they were going to tear down the railroad depot, and some people found out. They got some money donated, and they saved the depot, or the depot wouldn't even have been here when we got ready to put the logo together. So we got those together. So the last thing I would like to bring to your attention is the big black square on the top of the middle of the page. And it says approximately 4/10 of a mile south of the fountain and marker on Seymour Rogers Homestead was the original hand-dug well which gave Liberal its name. In 1885, Rogers began offering free water from this well to settlers and trail-weary travelers. Free water brought the expression from them, that's mighty liberal of you. The name Liberal was first used officially to designate the post office established June 14th, 1886 at Rogers Settlement. And then upon the arrival of the Chicago, Kansas, and Nebraska Railroad in April 1888, the town site was moved 1 mile east and retained the name Liberal. Once again, Seymour Rogers and the railroad coming together. So my plan or thought to bounce off of you here tonight is, wouldn't it be special if we could find the well, where the original well is? I've heard people tell me it's in a backyard somewhere in Second and Western. I've had Joe DeNoyer tell me that there was a man about 25 years ago who told him he came to Liberal and he capped the well. And then I have had Earl Watt tell me that there is a gentleman, he wouldn't tell me who it is, but if we could ever find where the well is, he would be willing to donate large sums of money to establishing another historical marker in Liberal. The Railroad Depot took millions of dollars to rejuvenate and have that as a place, a significant historical marker. The Pancake Day Board and the city worked together to buy a house right there at the finish line of the Pancake Day race at 4th and Lincoln. We find that Dorothy's house, the Coronado Museum, a big house that was lived in by a wealthy person, Liberal moved it there, put the Tourism Bureau there, and there's a place for all these things. And wouldn't it be an amazing publicity and great human interest story for Liberal, Kansas if we could find where the well actually is? And so I would like to encourage you, the commission and the city, if we could appoint someone, or you could go to work, or it doesn't matter who, I mean, I could help too, whatever you want to do. But if we could begin to do a search committee, kind of like a treasure hunt, and go out and find where the well is. And if we could find the well, I have a picture here, and Mrs. Disker has this picture. She's told me to come in someday to City Hall, and she was gracious to show me this picture that's in City Hall. The artist depicts the well, and shows a man talking to Seymour Rogers, another man drinking some water on his horse. So he just been given some water. And I thought, well, if that picture and some other things could be a facsimile or some type of setup as we've had in the past to make historical markers a great place for tourists and people to visit, we could possibly purchase that property as they did for the Pancake Day finish line for the Hall of Fame there. You'll also maybe put up a little well, I don't know, whatever. There's a lot of creativity, a lot of things you could do. And there just a few weeks ago, my wife and I went to Nashville, and we went to Dave Ramsey where he has his live program. We got to hear it live through this soundproof glass and a speaker. And he came out during the commercial breaks and he greeted us, the people that were there, and he shook our hand. And they gave out, when you walk in the door, free water and a free cookie. And he asked me where I was from. I said, Liberal, Kansas. And he smiled. I said, no, wait a minute. I said, it's not political. I said, I'm talking about it's a very generous place. And he smiled, and then we got our picture taken with him. So I won't take any more of your time up. I just wanted to introduce this to you. Thank you so much for what you're doing, from generosity to prosperity. Seymour Rogers, the railroad, how we got our start, our roots, and proclaiming it as all this, putting it all together. And now the missing link, we can find the well. So I just wanted to present that to you. Thank you for your time. God richly bless you. And I pray that, God will create some clues. Maybe you put it in the newspaper. There may be some people right here in Liberal that know where it is. Maybe the person that it's in their backyard, they already know it's there. I don't know. But we can put out the memo, put out the word, and maybe we can find it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rex.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to address the commission? All right, seeing none, item number 5 is items from groups. Anybody representing a group that would like to address the commission? Okay, item number 6, the consent agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item number 7, Enterprise Fleet Management Presentation.
Okay, so Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, We have Justin Harper here tonight. He is our client strategy manager for Enterprise Fleet Management. We have been working with him for about 3 years now, I would say, Justin. And he will give a presentation to the commission regarding the city's current position within the fleet rollout process, and then some tidbits on future financial projections.
Good evening, all. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Awesome. I appreciate you having me out this evening. Scarlett's going to help me click through this, the slides here. So, Scarlett and I met, we meet frequently, I would say every 3 or 4 months. Brad's generally involved as well. And just kind of give an update, talk through where we're at, what it's looking like, what the next year needs to hold. And during our last meeting, she asked if I would be willing to come and just kind of provide an update for you all as to kind of where we started, where we are now, and kind of where the future looks. So that's really the goal of tonight. First slide here, and yeah, there we go. So this was basically a summary back during our initial presentation and as we were getting the partnership rolling. Officially been partners since April 5th of 2024, but there was a process obviously leading up to starting that partnership. This highlights kind of where the fleet was. So City of Liberal in general, and I won't read each of these bullet points to you, I'll just highlight a few. The average age of the fleet was 14.4 years, so pretty aged fleet, very common for a city prior to partnering with us. Basically, with the average rate of acquisitions on that fleet, it would have taken 15 years to get through a full cycle and replace all of the vehicles. There were some safety concerns, so there were 32 vehicles that were pre-2007, so they didn't have anti-lock brakes, 43 vehicles that didn't have the electronic stability control, which was 2012, and then 63 vehicles that didn't have a backup camera, 2018 or earlier. So part of what we were trying to do and what we are trying to do, what we're working towards is ultimately lower sustainable fleet cost. It's predictable year over year, reducing maintenance, reducing repairs, kind of taking from that operational budget to make sure we're operating a safe, fuel-efficient fleet. I see core values are the fiscal responsibility, efficient operations. That's exactly what our program tries to do. So the next slide shows real time where we are as of today. So currently in the fleet, there are 124 vehicles. There's a total value of $2.7 million. 5 different manufacturers as it sits right now. You'll see the bar graph there kind of in the middle, 2026, 25, 24. So those are the enterprise vehicles that we've brought in and ultimately lowered the age of the fleet. So the average age of the fleet currently is 6.3 years. So in a couple years, we've basically taken it from 14 and a half years to 6.3 years. We're now averaging about 14 and a half vehicles per year. And across the bottom, I don't know if you guys can see it on your screens, but the average odometer distribution now is only 33,000 miles. So we're operating a newer fleet, lower odometers, that ultimately are safer for you. Questions before I move forward kind of from where we were to where we are and then get into where we're going. Good?
Not thus far.
Okay, awesome. The next slide really is where I want to spend the bulk of our time. So Scarlett asked me to kind of paint a picture. She said, hey, we're spending a lot of money on lease payments. Kind of feels different than what we were doing before. Can you help us understand why and what the future looks like and where this is headed? So within this analysis, we'll start with the orange line. So that was basically what you were doing prior to Enterprise. So within that, and there's some assumptions in here, so work through each of these with me as we go. But within that orange line, 116 units. So there are 124 vehicles in the fleet currently. There's 8 units that we have dubbed as site units or very low use units, not ever going to be replaced until they basically blow up and then you figure out what else you need to do. They're not really units that need to be addressed immediately because they're just not used. So 116 is the number that we worked for. 7.6 was the average acquisitions per year. So basically you owned 116 of those vehicles, the city did, and there were 0 that were leased. The capital spend line, so that was your CapEx, your cash outlay. That's based off of $45,000 as the vehicle price, 7.6 vehicles acquired per year. So you were spending around $342,000 to acquire those 7.5 vehicles per year. The equity owned piece, so when we went to sell these vehicles, they weren't worth much. They were 15 and a half years old, 14 and a half years old. We were selling them on average, call it $500 was the value that we would give. So that's represented there by the $3,800. The maintenance, downtime, and fuel, so the operating budget, that's really where a program like ours shines. So if we look at the maintenance, industry averages between 20 and 30 cents per mile for maintenance on a fleet as old as yours was. We take that, the average miles driven, if you look up there kind of in the assumptions, based on the odometers at the time that we started this partnership, you were doing about 6,527 miles per vehicle per year. So we take all that, funnel that together. The maintenance, we use 25 cents per mile times your miles. So you're spending about $190,000 in maintenance. That's that piece there. The downtime piece is quantified by $750 a day is what it costs if a vehicle is down. So essentially 8 hours a day, vehicle's not operational. Industry average on a fleet of what your fleet was, the age and the miles, is about 8 days per vehicle that a vehicle is down per year. 8 days per year that a vehicle is down. I used 4 in this analysis. I want to be conservative and just make sure that what we were showing was a conservative estimate. But the 348,000 is representative of if the 116 vehicles were down 4 days a year at that rate, that's what that cost was to the city. And then your fuel expense, again, simple calculation. The older fleet, we have 14.7 was the average miles per gallon, gas at 280, driving 6,527 miles per year, and that gets you to your fuel expense of 144. Your total fleet budget, so your cap spend plus your operational spend, you're about just north of $1 million a year is what we were estimating that you were spending on your fleet. Pause there, because it's important that we're comfortable kind of as a baseline of what was going on. Those are estimates. So some years you may have spent $800,000, some years it may have been 1.4 million, just depends, but that's generally what the data from the fleet was telling us you were doing before you partnered with us. There's a lot of numbers on there too. So totally get it. It's first time seeing it for some of you, and it's a lot going on. Okay, if we're good with that, we'll kind of move year by year, and really I want to highlight a few years. So the 2026 line, that's basically what we've completed up to this point. 2027 is what we're proposing to continue to move forward for the next budget year. And then when we get into it is 2030, that's basically where 2029, that's where we'll be fully implemented. So basically everything, all of the vehicles will be leased, nothing will be owned by the city. So those are the few years I want to kind of highlight. If we start with 2026, working across that line, we currently have 72 vehicles that are leased through Enterprise. There's 44 that are still owned by the city. Go over to your lease expense. There's $789,000 in lease payments that you're paying. That's where we're at today. That's a big number, right? You're paying those lease payments. There's equity that's coming back in from when we sell the vehicles that are being replaced, right? So you owned 72 client or city-owned vehicles. We brought in leased vehicles. You're making lease payment, but we sold off those city-owned vehicles and returned $223,000 in equity back to the city. So that offsets the budget there. Your maintenance expense has basically cut in half because now 2/3 of your fleet is brand new, right? So we're not paying for engines, we're not paying for transmissions, everything's new, that stuff's covered under warranty. Basically, the only maintenance you're paying for within that is your oil changes, and those are all fixed and budgeted within the full maintenance program that we provide. So that number has dropped dramatically. Downtime, same thing, dropped dramatically, cut basically down to 25%. You're operating a new efficient fleet that isn't down and in the shop. New vehicles still have issues, right? Recalls, warranty issues, whatever, but drop dramatically. And then your fuel, you're operating a more fuel efficient fleet as well. So overall, if you look at 2026, the total fleet budget was $763,121. That was a savings of $256,000 relative to what we predicted you were spending. So we won. That was a good year. Yay. Next year, 2027, so basically what we're moving into, we're proposing 14 vehicles to come in to replace client-owned vehicles. So you'll still have 30 that are owned by the city, 86 then will be leased. Move over to your lease payment, goes to $942,000. There's $135,000 coming back in equity from the sale of those vehicles. The equity leased, so 2027, in the next slide, we'll break this down, but there are 15 vehicles that were leased back when we started this in 2024 that now are up to be cycled. So basically, we will bring in new leased vehicles for those 15 and sell off the other ones that are currently on a lease, and you'll get equity back from those. So there's $149,000 that's predicted to come back in equity there. Maintenance continues to fall, downtime continues to fall, fuel continues to fall, so you're at $883, $595, savings in 2027 of $136. Down to 2029, so that's the first year where we're fully implemented. Your lease payments are as high basically as they're gonna get. They're at 1.2 million. As we work through that, we've sold off all the client-owned vehicles, so there's just equity coming back from the sale of the leased vehicles. Those are staggered, so let's just in general say it. There's 116 vehicles, 4.4 years is your average cycle, so around 20 to 25 vehicles is what we'll be cycling per year as we move forward down the path. That equity then, you see that represented in the equity lease column, and it's different because each vehicle sells for different. There's some years where we're gonna do more, some years where we'll do less, but that equity is offsetting that. Your maintenance continues to come down. That's gonna become a fixed budgeted number because they're on the full maintenance program. Downtime, again, significantly reduced. Fuel, significantly reduced. So your total budget ends up being around 1.1 to 1.2 million that you're spending. So if you look at years 2030 through 2035, you go, wait a second, Justin, we're spending more than we were before you started. And the answer is yes, you are. However, if you look at the total savings, it's reflecting $31,000 over the course of the 10-year period. So that's that net cash column added up. But then, and you can't see this on there, and I apologize for the visual, but there's still equity remaining within that current fleet of $749,416. I don't know if you guys can see that. But when that is calculated back in, you still have those vehicles, you still have that equity built up in them that we will continue to sell and make this thing go. That's a lot. Questions?
So how is the equity either owned or leased actually reflected back
Yep.
to the city? How does that work?
Yep, so when we sell something, you have the option to take it back as an invoice credit, take it back as a check, or we can put it down as a down payment on a new lease. So I like to equate the equity lease, and I probably should have started there, I apologize, but the equity lease is similar to owning a home, right? You basically get a mortgage, you pay down to a residual balance, you sell your house, there's equity hopefully built up when you sell your house, you use that to put down on your next home that you buy. That's basically the concept. We're financing down to a residual balance. The equity comes back to the city when it's sold, and you get to decide, do we want to replace it or not? When do we want to do that? That's my job. That's part of the meetings I have with Scarlett and with Brad is, as we get this thing implemented, what vehicles are we considering each year? How are they in an equity position? How much equity do we have? What does the budget look like? What levers do we need to pull each year? The benefit of this equity lease is it's completely flexible. So there's no penalty to keep it longer. There's no penalty to get out of it early. And so we let the market kind of dictate what needs to be done. Whether we need to do something with that vehicle this year, run it another year, what impact that's going to have financially. But to answer your direct question, generally you guys are taking checks, correct?
We did
as
it
the
first,
equity
but we
back?
receive statement credits now.
Yeah.
An enterprise fleet is an isolated fund that we created, Fund 215, where all of this is reflected. At the end of each quarter, we make transfers from the originating funding source over to bring the balance back to zero so that we can track everything like verbatim. It doesn't live with any more money than it should, just exact amounts. So we can explain that a little more during budget season, but this will be our third budget cycle where we have had Fund 215.
Yeah, and that's our recommendation. It keeps it clean and easy, is to have a vehicle replacement fund, a vehicle fund, and so you know exactly what's going in and out and what's happening. So Scarlett's been fantastic to work with. So questions before I move past this? This is kind of the meat and potatoes of where we're at, where we're going, and what that looks like. Okay, next slide. So this is just the breakdown for 2027. So the vehicles in blue, those are the remaining 14 vehicles that we would suggest replacing. So again, we've got it categorized by department. As we move into budget finalization and kind of planning season, Scarlett and I work together to say, okay, what exactly do these need? What does that look like? And then the 15 vehicles in green, those are the current leases. So primarily those are 2025 Chevy 2500s. They're on a 24-month term, 21 months into that term. But if you look at the market value column, so basically all of those ones in green, we say have a value based on the odometer of around 40,000. The current RBV is what's owed on them, which is around 33,000. So there's equity in each of those of, call it 6,000 to 7,000 as of today. By the time we order these and they get built and delivered and shipped in, we're probably 6 to 9 months down the road. And so there at the bottom, your current equity of those green ones is around 90,000. The 12-month equity, as you make payments and whatever new ones come in, those get sold, is closer to 198,000. So in my analysis on the slide before, I reflected 149,000 in equity coming back for those leased vehicles, but it'll be somewhere kind of in that ballpark. But basically, this is what with Scarlett and I meet. I would say, hey, for 2027, here's what we need to execute, and we factory order them. They come in, we sell the old ones, equity comes back. That's all I've got. I had the old logo on there too. I'm sorry.
That's okay. The slogan was correct.
Yeah, we got that part right. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the presentation. I was asking Scarlett, we're actually, now that we're a couple of years into this program, where do we sit? Is it a benefit? Are we underwater in this thing? So it's good to see that, well, we're not, it's not saving us huge, giant amounts of money. We do have a much newer fleet for essentially just a little bit less money than what we were spending before. So to me, it's great reassurance.
It's net positive. Yeah.
Yeah.
We view Justin as a broker of sorts, just with vehicles. And he's been very helpful with us the entire time. And I think Brad is happy because his crews are most impacted by the vehicles, and very happy partnership there. I just wanted him to explain where we are in the matrix, because we're in the scariest part of the matrix with numbers.
Yeah, it gets pretty intense years 2, 3, and 4 before the equity from the lease starts coming back, right? Because as we're selling off the city-owned stuff, they're not worth much. There's not a lot of money coming back in, right? They're old.
Yeah.
And so as we get into that, it gets pretty scary because your lease payment is way up here. The critical part is recognizing the operational savings. And that often, what I've found in my experience with, specifically with cities and government entities, is that operational savings often, or that operational spend often kind of gets treated not as a slush fund, but it's just like out there. Like, we got to repair the air conditioner. We got to repair the whatever. It all gets spent. The CapEx is what gets really dialed in because that's the budget number. The reality is you're spending that money, and we're just shifting the bucket. We're taking it out of the operational spend to spend on the lease payment, but you're operating a newer, safer, more fuel-efficient fleet that ultimately is the net positive.
So we were spending a lot of money on, when you go to do tie rods on the front end line breaks all the time. That just stopped.
Yeah.
So your downtime went away, the spend went away. Yeah, exactly. The program is functioning exactly as we want. And I will just say from my seat, I do work with quite a few cities and counties, and the people that I get to work with here at City of Liberal are amazing. This program only works if we have people on the other side of the desk that understand and are willing to collaborate, because it is that every single year. It is a collaborative effort to make the right decisions based on what the data is telling us for that year. So we have a plan, and there's a good solid plan now, which I don't feel like there was a great plan before. So now we've got a good plan, and I've got great people. We're going to get this exactly where it needs to go. So,
All right.
thank you guys.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much. Appreciate
the presentation.
the information. Okay, item number 8, ordinance number 4654, special use permit for 302 South Clay. D.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, the ordinance before you, 302 South Clay was purchased by a new owner who wishes to use it kind of as a mixed-use occupancy. It is zoned I-1 light industrial, but they want to put some commercial, a couple little commercial things like something like a nail salon, and they have the interest of putting a couple residential units in it. This went before the Planning and Zoning Board on June 11th, and passed unanimously with them to be forwarded on to you. I have received no complaints against this from the general public. I've received no support of this from the general public. I will tell you, the owner was not able to be here tonight. He had a family emergency, but I can probably answer any questions you have.
Do we present a problem doing the residential in there then? Is that the
No,
commercial?
because it will follow code. Like, they're already discussing probably having to sprinkle it due to the residential occupancy and stuff. I mean, they're following code and going through the steps correctly. So I don't think it should be a problem. I will tell you that a couple doors south, there's a building being utilized for residential that I don't believe has a special use permit and is kind of an illegal occupancy that we haven't been able to prove. But across the street, just to the north, is residential. I don't picture it being a problem.
It's right
Okay. So that's Clay, so it's coming, okay.
That's the residential. In those.
That part there. Okay, that used to be Rosal Building? I think so.
Well, Clay's right.
So with this special use permit, it doesn't change the zoning, it's still zoned I-1,
It
correct?
is still zoned I-1 light industrial. It just, as long as he owns the property, this special use permit would be in effect and he could put commercial businesses and residential stuff in.
But when he sells the building, that goes away?
I believe so. Lynn? Okay,
Okay.
Is that the old Rosal Building?
yes, sir.
This one,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Wade, any other questions? I'll move that we approve ordinance number 4654, allowing special uses of commercial and residential at 302 South Clay Avenue.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion or questions for Keith? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Keith. Okay, item number 9 is the Oxy property annexation, and item A is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing. Any staff members that would like to testify on the matter? Oh, you're still here.
Yes, sir. So the resolution was passed,
Let them know that he was published in the paper.
yeah.
Oh.
So the resolution was passed to set the public hearing. Following the resolution, a certified letter was mailed to Oxy. It was signed, received by their land attorney. It was published in the newspaper as required, and we have had the, dadgummit. We've had the plan to extend services on hand at City Hall for anybody to review that wanted to. I have received no correspondence for or against the annexation of this property. And the city has followed all of their steps. And that would be all I have.
Okay. Any other staff need to testify? Does anybody from the public like to testify in support or against the motion? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And go to addressing the ordinance, which would be ordinance number 4655, annexation of the Oxy property into the city.
I move we adopt ordinance number 4655.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion or questions for Keith or staff? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Item number 10, resolution number 2459, notice of intent to exceed R&R.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, as I present the resolution, I do want to note there are a number of pending tax appeals. The one that I want to mention most is the involvement of the National Beef Wastewater Plant, which is currently included in property assessment totals. This is due to some filings pending for a continuation for their 10-year tax abatement under their industrial revenue bond. And once a successful filing is completed, that would eliminate just shy of $57 million off of that assessment value. So it does have an impact on our mill levy. Presenting resolution number 2459 will serve as an official notice to the Seward County Clerk of our intention to exceed the revenue neutral rate. This resolution provides an estimated mill rate, and the mill rate will be determined when we hold our R&R hearing on August 25th, 2026. City staff requests commission consideration for the approval of resolution number 2459.
Okay. I know there's a lot of jargon and things that go along with this, but the essentially the intent of passing this resolution is to give us some additional time in order to be a little bit more detailed and dig a little deeper into our budget, and gives us, a couple of extra weeks before we need to certify a budget. And that, for our purposes, that's the main intent of this resolution. Not to exceed R&R necessarily, but to give us some additional time to work through the budget. Just so everybody's clear.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2459, notice of intent to exceed R&R.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And I will just add one more thing, is that this is a resolution that we've passed every year for the last several years since this revenue neutral rate has come into existence. And like I say, this is something that we've done every year and probably will do every year until the revenue neutral rate goes away.
And along those lines, I imagine each of the other governmental taxing entities do the same thing on a regular basis, as nearly as I track it. It's a pretty regular procedural move.
We have to submit it by the 20th, I believe, our intent.
Yeah.
And you can either do a worksheet or a resolution. We've always opted for a resolution.
Yep.
Any other comments, questions?
No, just I also do appreciate that we kept the proposed mill levy close to where it's at. Unlike what caused the issues last year was the county proposing a 27 potential, and that just set everybody off before anyone even got into the budget cycle. So I appreciate keeping those as close to what we currently have as possible.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item number 11, 2026 City Legal Security Awareness Training Program. Tim?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Vice Mayor. Come before you tonight to talk about a security awareness training program. We've had one in place for about a decade. The history behind it is it was provided by our antivirus vendor at no cost to us. That program sunset last October, so it was not necessarily something we foresaw or planned on. So that kind of put us in a little bit of a predicament as far as the training aspect goes. And if you don't understand what security awareness is it's essentially a training program that is implemented at organizations globally that basically trains employees on things, what current bad guys use to trick people to gaining access to corporate assets. So we've been on the hunt for a suitable security awareness vendor, and we've settled upon one that I think will serve our organization incredibly well. The downside to it is it's now going to cost us money to make sure that we keep our employees up to speed on what the latest threats are, what tactics bad guys use to try and gain access to financial information, personal information, all this stuff. And it's a very, very advanced program. It's automated. It employs a lot of modern day technology. Courseware is up to snuff with today's standards on the latest tricks and tactics and whatnot that criminals use. So the documentation that I provided for you has kind of a pretty good breakdown of what this program is going to entail. This program is provided by a company called KnowBe4. They're out of Florida. I tried to ask them if they service any Kansas municipalities to see if we could possibly get feedback, and they said we don't do that because there's confidentiality on what tactics they utilize within their own organization. So they were not very willing to provide that sort of information, but they do service different municipalities and different organizations through the state of Kansas. The bid that they provided is a 3-year contract with them, totaling $30,167.50. That breaks out to about $10,055 per year for 250 licenses. So that covers everybody that has access to a computer system, email, iPads for you guys, because you will be getting those pesky little tests as well. But I think it's very essential that we have a program like this in place because I really don't want us to be a news article for the wrong reasons, because it can be incredibly costly. It's a bad look on the organization if something were to happen, and I just think it's a good practice to be in that we have something like this in place. Anything before I get into the funding aspect of it? Okay. So the funding for this will be funded from the crime prevention portion of the 1% sales tax in the amount of $30,167.50 each year, being billed $10,055 up until the contract renews. If we choose to renew it, we will. If not, there's no skin off our back and we'll just part ways. But that is pretty much it. It comes with a few other little perks as well. They incorporate a tool into our email system that actively tracks and allows end users to report phishing and different types of threatening emails to the system, and it seems to work really well. So, any questions? I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise,
That seems
that's it.
pretty inexpensive. I mean, one mistake by one employee could
Just takes one.
cost us
Wreck the system.
well over 200, or well over $10,000.
Millions of dollars.
Yeah, I think this is some of the best money we're gonna spend in a long time.
And another thing too is the education that the employees get, it just doesn't stay here. Because if you learn it, you pass it on to your friends, your family,
Yeah.
because it's continuing. So it's not just for us too. So, and especially for a generation that sometimes has they get preyed upon a lot. I don't know how many times I've seen people get scammed out of exorbitant amounts of money because they didn't know any better, or it sounded legit. So these training like this, I think, is very, very essential in all aspects of the employees that we employ. So that's all I got.
Well, I will move that we approve the contract between the City of Liberal and KnowBe4 in the amount of $30,165, with funding to be provided from the crime prevention portion of the 1% sales tax.
Second.
So is the amount $30,167.50 or $30,165? Or does it make a difference?
I think it's one.
I mean, you said the bid was $30,167.50.
Correct. That is a misprint
So I didn't know if we were
because
just rounding.
so they sent us a quote of $30,165, and that's what the amount is $30,165.
So they reduced it to $2.50 then?
Yeah.
Okay. I just was wondering, to make sure that if we didn't need to make it $10,055.83, but, okay.
No, it's $30,165. Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Awesome.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Item number 12, school zone flasher purchase.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, staff. I'm Juan with the Building Maintenance and Traffic Control Department. So pretty much with this one, the traffic control is requesting to replace 4 old and outdated school zone flashers with new updated equipment. The one source vendor was selected because of the need of equipment that we have is compatible with the existing equipment that we currently operate with. The equipment we'll be replacing is currently being used around the Sunflower Elementary and Bright Start Pre-K Center on Pine Street. And the purchase was a 2026 budget item that we had submitted, so it was approved last year. So we recommend that staff recommends commissions approve of school zone flashers in amount of not exceeding $21,000 from Gady's Sales Company, Inc., with the proper budget authority within the traffic control portion of general funds. So pretty much with this one right here, we're just a lot of our school zones around town are really outdated. The programmable time clock that we have that we use every year was pretty much adopted in 2006 to 2010s. So they're pretty much to this point they are discontinued. So everything that we use right now is all cable, and even the cable is hard to come by to get one. So once we kind of lose that one, it'll be kind of hard to connect from our PCs to be able to program the school zone flashers. So with the newer ones, is they use Bluetooth technology, so it's just easier. We show up with our phones, we program all of the school zones around that area. We'll program at the same time, so it makes it easier, more efficient. It just takes less time to do it as well. So like I said, it just kind of makes it easier for us as well. And then like I said, just even with the older equipment, we can still use them for parts and other equipments around the school zones as well. So we're just trying to do I know it's kind of hard and expensive to do all in one lump sum, so we're trying to replace different school zones every year as a program, so that way we could eventually have everything updated and easy to do. So, if you had any questions or concerns regarding the purchase of the school zone flashers.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the school zone flashers from Gage Sales Company, Inc., an amount not to exceed $21,000, being funded from the traffic control portion of the general fund.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any additional questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 13, city staff.
I guess I'll go. I just want to make sure everyone can hear. So we are pretty well all set up for tomorrow's State of the City. That again is at noon at the Randall Girl Scout building at Light Park. Starts at noon. We encourage you, if you'd like to come a little early, go ahead and grab a seat, grab your food. We'll try to get started pretty promptly and out by 1 o'clock. We know it's a lot of people's lunch hours. We're anticipating 75 or so, which is fantastic. So if more show up, we'll just hope for a biblical miracle and hope we have enough food. With that, we do have the RSVP closed on the website because we are maxed out with what we reserve for catering. Tim has helped get everything set up so that we can record that, and then we'll be able to edit and post that up online afterwards so people can still see it if they're not able to attend. The other date I wanted to throw out there is July 25th. It's a Saturday. Will be our first movie out in the park. We got all of our new equipment out, got it tested. It was pretty cool. So the movie we'll be showing is Encanto, and we'll be starting that at dark, which is like a moving target right now. We don't anticipate to start any earlier than 8:30. So anytime after 8:30, once it's dark enough, we'll get that started and playing. That's free for people to attend, so please share. We did get the proper copyrights for that, by the way. Funny joke. Anyways, that's
keeping the theme of the evening.
exactly, yes.
Compliant community.
So please do be sure to share that. We've got it out on social media. We can't mention the name of it on radio, television, or a newspaper because copyright, it's weird. But we can do everything on social media, so sure. That's all.
All right, I've just been asked, which I don't think there are, but are there any food vendors? Because everybody keeps asking if anybody's going to be selling food or if they need to bring their own food.
Yes. So we did reach out to some local vendors who will be on site with concessions.
Oh,
so
nice.
help support local businesses.
Okay.
We've got, I think there's a food truck and then a couple of beverage kind of
nice.
trucks or stands that'll come out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keely. Bradley?
I'm not going up there. So chip seal's done, minus one street that, Middle Creek did not get finished. I'm not going to waste money on chip seal, that will go in there. So we'll just move that street to the next side. If I'd have known, I'd have this parking lot chip seal. Not happy with that deal. Pool demo is going good. They're back to compacting and they're getting real close. I think in the next week, 10 to 14 days they might be done. The water project, they have 16 days left on their rain days and everything. They're not even gonna get close to that. They've still got 4 projects. We'll deal with that down the line. Airport taxiway project is kind of taking a step back because of material not meeting compaction tests and stuff. They finally got through it, so hopefully in the next 10 days, we'll see concrete coming out there on that project. This is the week that they're doing the night closure, so once that last flight comes in at night, we shut down work through the night. Till the morning. The bus facility is going really well. Everybody's behind schedule. They're getting there, but I think they're gonna be a little behind. But they've got some weather days that they haven't even.
Yeah, it was a quagmire out there for
Yeah,
a while.
but the building inside seems to be moving really good. We are on our third superintendent up there. So, on the positive, our parks look amazing, we get everything out of the ground. The golf course looks amazing. Our guys, the concrete guys, started the block south on Main Street. And once we get that one handicap accessible, we're gonna move block north of the bank where we did that one, make that block. Because one of our reports was that we're not handicap accessible down Main Street, we're trying to accommodate all that. And then we will be breaking off at some point to start the dog. I think we'll see something moving over there.
Okay.
Okay.
Brian, Alicia, anybody? Yes, all right, well, item number 14, city manager report.
So Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, I have a couple of quick items. I know we still have a few more things to go tonight. So first up, I want to thank Richard Farrar and the local Board of Realtors. They had invited me to speak last Wednesday. That's the first time I had ever presented to that group, and they had great questions. They were very engaged, and I am more than happy to go back. I love it when people invite us to those meetings with those key communicators that can pass along this information. So thank you to him. Also, thank you to Justin from Enterprise Fleet Maintenance. I don't know that I have favorite vendors, but I love working with Justin. He has great energy. He works hard for the city. He listens to Brad and I whenever we have concerns or requests. And I think the work they have done is visual across the city in our reputational improvements as far as our vehicles are concerned. He came all the way from Wichita for this meeting and headed back afterwards, so thank you to him for that sacrifice. Very excited about the summer movie series. We have wanted to do this for a while. In fact, I was so excited, I think I said initially on the radio yesterday that it was this Saturday. Then I said, no, wait, it's the 25th. That's next Saturday. But we are very excited about that, showcasing local food vendors and then having a family-friendly event in a summer that we don't have a water park or a splash park in Light. So come out and enjoy that, and we hope that we can put many more of those on in the future. Also, Thursday is our very first preliminary design visionary meeting with Hutton for the Splash Park. So we will have several of our key players and city staff and a couple of commissioners present for that. And then we have concluded the 2025 audit. Dustin from Hay Rice will be here at the next commission meeting. Went well. The only concerns that we have are here and there with cash balances, but as far as our processes and procedures, very cleaned up, running very well, and no findings. So we will present that to you in its entirety in a couple of weeks, and then we can check that box. I submitted it to the Federal Clearinghouse, and it's amazing feeling when you click that button. So thank you to the financial team for that, and that's it.
Okay, thank you, Scarlett. Item number 15, items from commissioners. Who wants to start? Jose?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Just like to thank all the staff for all the work you do. Much like Brad said, parks are looking great, but his report was actually great to show that we have a lot of progress moving on. Lots of construction. As much as people don't like it, it's also a good sign of a community. As the more construction you have, the better it's going. We have 3 housing projects. We have 3 city projects. And so it's pretty nice to see that you have a lot of work moving, a lot of jobs, and we're making things happen. But huge thank you to all the staff for making it happen.
I guess similarly along those lines, I mean, the longer I'm in this position, the more familiar I become with the different city staff, their departments, and how everything works, and I just continue to be impressed with how smoothly things are operating with the city. So thank you to all of the staff here, all of the department heads, and employees who make that happen.
Ron?
Just want to thank staff for everything you do again. There's not any reason why we shouldn't thank you every time, because you're working every day, and we appreciate it. I think the city's headed in a great direction. I was actually just browsing through that when Keely said that we were having the State of city tomorrow that I've gotta read my emails a little more often. So, I was browsing through what my part was. At least I'm doing it tonight instead of tomorrow at 11:50 or something, but anyway. Thank you guys for everything you do. That's it.
Don't worry, I was gonna have a reach out to you after this meeting. Well, want to thank staff for all of their hard work. Also want to thank Enterprise for coming out here and explaining. I thought he did a really good job with the visuals and explaining where we're at with that. The security training, I think, is also great for employees. We did the math. It's only $40 per employee, but it's a great investment. I am seeing more and more stories of people getting scammed across, not just in Kansas, but across the country. And for some reason, smaller towns are just more vulnerable for them. They target the small communities more. I'm excited for the movie night. I'm even more excited now to hear that we're going to have food there. So thank you guys for all of your hard work on that. Excited for the state of address as well. Thank you guys for all of your hard work in putting that together. And then on another note, it is related, but it's not related. So we do have a date for the health fair that's going to take place on Saturday, October 3rd. I just think it's such an important event in our community, and it still ties into the city because it's the quality of life for many residents. I know we're doing better than we did in the past years. We were ranked #1 for the county with the highest uninsured people in the whole state. Now we're down to #4. So we're making a little progress, but I think the health fair just does, it gives people the tools to get checked who typically wouldn't go into the doctor or go to the hospital to get checked. But I'm excited because we have decreased the test of cost a little bit, and we are offering more exams in the general kit. So you can basically get more free exams for the $35, but I'll push that information more as it comes along. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Gina. Thank you, staff. Appreciate everything you do. I think this is the first meeting we've had since 4th of July, and I just wanted to thank fire and police for everything they did in advance of the weekend. And you know, I think it came off pretty well. The weather was nice, and I think everybody had a good time. I think for the most part, people behaved pretty well. You know, they were fairly neighborly, and so that's a plus. I just wanted to thank the community for their efforts in having a good, fun, safe 250th anniversary. So several people have mentioned the parks tonight. My brother has been in town for the last week, and literally every time we went past a park, he would say, "Man, your parks look great." And, you know, he's from Alabama. They get all kinds of rain. And he said, ours don't look near this good. So thanks to Bruce and the park staff for all your hard work. Mention the state of the city. It may be too late to get a lunch, but bring your own if you haven't made reservations. So bring a sack, you know, go drive through someplace and bring your lunch and be sure to come. And is there a concert, community band concert soon?
Yes.
It's this Saturday.
It's this Saturday.
Well, that's what I thought. I just wanted to mention it. I don't know the details. Keely,
It will
you
be
know?
the last one of the series, the 4th of 4, and I believe we moved it indoors. So the Girl Scout building in Light Park.
Okay.
They've had to battle some wind the first 2 times. It was pretty good weather on the 4th of July, so I was very grateful for that. But I saw them at Liberal Night Out, and they were playing from memory because their sheet music was flying all over the park. And so I think maybe they just did not want to have to deal with that this go around. So
it's going to be in the Girl Scout building?
yes, come out. They're amazing.
Yeah,
They're an amazing group of people.
yeah. So anyway. Jeanette,
It
you have
just
one more
brought me
thing?
on another note. So I did go to the 4th of July celebration. They did a really good job. The only thing I did notice that we might look into in the future is where they have a stage, they have a seating area, but the sun hits very, very strong. And so I know she had sent an email about it, but that's just something to put on your radar because it was really hot. We need something over those benches.
Okay. All right, item number 16, vouchers.
I'll make a motion that we approve the vouchers in the amount of $2,375,498.55.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the vouchers or questions? All right, we don't have any of those. All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. And item number 17, executive session.
I move to adjourn into a 20-minute executive session to discuss the purchase of property pursuant KSA 75-4319 B6 for the preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property, and invite City Attorney Lynn Kane, City Manager Scarlett Disker, Assistant City Manager Brad Beer, CFO Brian Mannel, Water Department Director Jose Rosales by phone, and Lane Letourneau by phone. We will go in at, does anyone need a break? No. 6:41 and return at 7:01.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
15-minute executive session to discuss the purchase of property pursuant to KSA 7543-19B6 for the preliminary discussion of acquisition of real property, and invite City Attorney Lynn Kane, City Manager Scarlett Disker, Assistant City Manager Brad Beer, CFO Brian Mantle, Water Department Director Jose Rosales by phone. We will go in at 7:03 and return at 7:18.
All those in favor?
Second.
Second, sorry. I got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
we supposed to keep these?
I'm keeping
I think we
mine.
can keep you.
Any action that needs to be taken as a result of the executive session?
I don't think so.
Lynn, anything we officially need to do at the end of this to?
No action taken.
Okay, all right. If that's the case, then we're adjourned.
The story has just begun.
From Disney, Moana a Motunui, daughter of the chief. Let's say farewell.
Ready?
It's Maui.